Hi guys, welcome back to Janvi Unfiltered Finance, and we are in 2026. So firstly, a very happy new year to all of you guys. And secondly, I know a lot of you guys had initially asked me the books that I have read, and मैंने उस पे एक already video बना दिया है. I'm sure many of you all have already seen it, but today I'm going to share the list of books that I am going to read for 2026, and these are all those books जो fund managers ने recommend किया है, the all the big shots of the industry have recommended, and a collation of the entire top books that I'm going to read for 2026, and I'm here to share it with you guys so you can also get your hands on those. Some are to learn about life, about how to live, about personality, and some are of course directly with respect to markets and finance. So the first one is 5 types of wealth. It is basically talking about time, mental, physical, financial, and social perspective of human and interrelationship within all of these metrics. So these are the 5 types of wealth which every human must acquire. The reason why I'm going to read this book is I need it. Mental, social, physical, टाइम नहीं, बट मेंटल, सोशल, फिजिकल की तो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. वेल्थ की, फिनेंशियल टचवुड अच्छा चल रहा है एंड टाइम भी अच्छा ही चल रहा है, बट ये तीन चीज़ तो बहुत ज़्यादा ख़राब है. आई मीन बहुत सारे लोगों को पता है, बट या आई मीन हैव टू फोकस अ लॉट ऑन दैट. दस दिस इज़ समथिंग आई एम एक्साइटेड टू लुक एट. The second book is about how not to invest. It talks about all the pitfalls in investing, all the possible mistakes that you can make, and I cannot wait to get this book on me and read it, because it's one of the very important things to read about mistakes that you can make in the industry. Everyone talks about क्या करना चाहिए, very few people talk about क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, and I also talk about क्या नहीं करना चाहिए on my channel most of the time. So this one I'm very excited to read. The third one is Think Again. It is basically keeping an open mind, how to rethink things in life. And as an analyst, as a person, both, it's very important. Why as an analyst is because sometimes we get so attached to the stocks that we choose and the stocks that we pick and research and work so much on. We get so attached to those names, and we don't want to get away from them. We get biased when it's about that particular stock. So keeping an open mind and rethinking your decisions time and time again is definitely a teachable skill, and this is what this book teaches. The fourth one is The Coming Wave. It talks about artificial intelligence, biotech, and a lot to do with the risk and opportunities associated with these names. And of course, that's the coming future. We know that biotech and artificial intelligence is here to stay. So I'm very interested to learn more about it. How can we inculcate in our daily life? How to use, how not to use, what to do, what not to do. So ये मुझे जानने में बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट है. Thus this one. Next, it's Money Trap. All the mistakes that you can do in personal finance. So last 2 years have been very good for me in terms of accumulating in a lot of money, investing. But currently I'm stepping up and in getting further into investing my own money and getting a step ahead and making sure I am more balanced, I am more aware, I do it more by myself, and I look into it further. So yeah, I mean, when you talk about personal finance, knowing about the mistakes is of course a good thing to do. So Money Trap is what I'm interested in reading. Next, it's Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. I so believe in it. You guys know that I have made one video about the number one skill you need as an equity research analyst, and I truly believe in it, and I think you all must as well watch that video. And this book, when I read this book, I realized कि मैंने तो ये video already बना दिया है. So this book actually is just going to be with respect to that, and it's going to talk about leadership, and it's just going to be very interesting for me to read because it's something I truly believe in. Next is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. This book is basically a guide to wealth, and most of those who have recommended this to me have said that the first part of the book is slightly boring and it's a drag. So, but the second part is great, so have to stay patient while reading this. The next book is The Upside of Uncertainty, and this is a lot to do with personal growth. I think anything which an equity analyst works about, learns about, has a lot to do with personal life as well, because in personal life there's so much uncertainty about anything that happens. There's uncertainty about the good things, there's uncertainty about the bad things, and definitely life is like a wave and it's always uncertain. That's how the markets are. So the upside of uncertainty is going to be very interesting. Next one is 52 tiny venture lessons. Now this is more to do with practical startup advice and the actionable insights based on the startups that have been running up and running in this world and how they have been performing, and it's everything to do with startups and venture capitalists. So this is an interesting book, which something I have never learnt about. So this is a very new space which I want to read about. I've never gotten into the startup world, never learned about the startup world, but now that I have a corporation of my own, I think this is very important for me to read. The next one is Mastering Disruption. Now this one is to do with a lot of business models. What are the strategic metrics to measure the progress in any kinds of businesses? And this is written by Ganesh, who is out of the VC world, and many people say that he is basically a man with a Midas touch. Midas touch matlab whatever he touches turns gold. So this book is going to be very interesting to read with respect to investing. The next book is The World for Sale. It talks about all the shadowy commodity traders controlling the global resources, the flows, and the economy. Again, something which I have never read about and something that I have never deep dived into. It will be very interesting to know about this, about commodity markets and the traders in the commodity market. The next one is about the anxious investor. I'm an anxious person, and of course anxious in everything but not investing, touch wood. It basically helps investors master the fear and understand markets volatility. How can humans actually turn their quirks, their psychological thoughts into investing strengths, and this book is amazing to do with that. The second last book is Confessions of Stock Market Wizards. It is basically on the mistakes of top Indian investors. Now, as I said, a lot of book talks about Warren Buffett, a lot of Indian investor, a lot of global investor, Peter Lynch. What did they do right? But no one talks about what they did wrong. So Confessions of Stock Market Wizards is basically about the mistakes of Indian investors. And again, very interested to read about it. The last one is something which I feel is going to be the best of this entire list. It is How to Listen When Markets Speak. It basically analyzes market signals, inflation shifts, volatility, new trends coming in, hard assets, passive strategies, and warnings on any kind of bubbles or geopolitical risks. That's a risk that is about to come up. So again, very interesting. And the reason why these books have come up in this list is because last 2 years have been very difficult. Last 1.5 years specifically has been very difficult for the Indian markets. Indian markets have been the worst performing markets and across Asia. So I feel that's why the investors need to know how to actually crack the times when the markets are performing badly. So all of these books are going to be very interesting. I think you must definitely add all of these onto your list as well as they are on mine. I hope you guys a very wealthy 2026, and let's get on this journey. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the other channel in case if you're interested in fun lifestyle vlogging beauty content, and let's get rolling for this calendar year. And I just hope it's going to be much better for Indian markets because it's clearly not been good enough. I hope you guys like this video. See you guys in the next one. Till then, take care, stay safe, bye, happy investing.